welcome to the September 1st, 2017 edition of Issues That Matter. Today I will be hosting the show. My name is Shelley Wigglesworth, and I'd like to introduce you to our guest today. The show is going to be about the 9th annual Herb Noble Memorial Motorcycle Ride, which is benefits the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital at Maine Medical Center. And it's in memory of a very special man that's very dear to many of us in the community, and we will get into that in a little bit. But I would like to introduce you to my guest today, and Sarah Helming is the philanthropy manager at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
And next we have Lisa Zadlava.
You got it right.
All right. From Bentley Saloon. She's one of the managers there.
Thank you, Shelley.
And Bentley Warren, who is the owner of Bentley's Saloon and Campground in Arundel, Maine. So welcome to the show. So excited to have you on. I'm very proud to be hosting this show because I've been involved with this ride since its inception 9 years ago. I was a friend of Herb Noble, as I know you guys were, and I didn't know if maybe Bentley, you could tell us a little bit about your friendship with Herb and what type of a man he was.
Well, Herb and I got to know each other through the motorcycle, through the saloon. He used to come down. He was a non-drinker, which was very good, and he and I had a lot of talks about traveling and about motorcycles, and he was just a great guy. And he talked about President Bush being down at his compound or whatever you call the place, and he really enjoyed it. And he had just bought a toy hauler trailer, and he was going to go traveling around the country. He was going to go to the races once in a while at Oswego, where I raced at that time, and he wanted to travel. So what I did, when he passed, it took us all by a shock because he was riding his motorcycle with a group, and he got hit by a limb off a tree, a dead limb, and it just killed him almost instantly, which was terrible, and we just couldn't believe it. I mean, he was here yesterday and gone today. And so Bob wanted to put this ride together, but and he did, and he does a tremendous job at putting it together. He takes all the money goes to the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. I think it goes to help families that can't afford to go to the hospital and maybe spend time with their children in an unfortunate position, and that money, I think, goes to help them travel to the hospital, maybe get them a room in a hotel or a motel and pay some of their expenses while their child is in the hospital. And he really, really works hard at it, and he, like I said, all the money goes to that fund, and I don't know what we've gotten. Lisa knows more about that than me because she keeps track of all the stuff. But I put a picture of Herb, his memorial picture, on my dashboard of my camper, and I used to take pictures of it and Texas mail back to Bob to show that his father was traveling with me all over the United States. And it was just, it made me feel good to be able to show him that, you know, Herb was in our heart and still is, and the guy was a great, great guy.
He really was. I'm going to move over here to Lisa, and I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about, Bentley mentioned Bob. That's Bob Noble, which is Herb's son, and he actually has coordinated all of this and founded it, and you work very closely with him for this. So can you tell us a little bit about Bob, who's not going to be on camera today, and tell us a little bit of your work?
I wish Bob would be on camera because he works so hard for this. He wants to make his father proud. Bob and Tom, his recent brother, who unfortunately passed. But Bob and I become great friends over the years. I'll do anything to help him coordinate this run. We started it in 2009, and I remember the first run that we had, there was over 100 bikes that came. And thanks to Bob's hard work with all the sponsorship he gets and the patrons that come to the saloon and join us on the ride, the first one we raised like $6,000.
Wow.
So over the years, this will be the 9th year. And with the continued success and hard work and donations to people in the community and our patrons at the saloon, we've probably raised a total of $40,000
Wow.
for the Barbara Bush's Children's Hospital. I know, isn't that great? And Sarah and I met yesterday and we were talking about how every little bit adds up. And over the years, it's amazing how much money you can raise, even if it's $10 here and there.
Yep. Sarah, actually, maybe you could jump in now and tell us a little bit about that money and maybe a couple of examples of how it has helped individuals personally. I do want to mention that the money stays right here in Maine, and it goes to the families and children who are receiving treatment right here in Maine. Herb was very good friends with the Bush family. They had a mutual respect for each other, and that's why this, the benefit of this annual motorcycle ride goes to the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. So, Sarah, if you could take it away and tell us a little more.
Well, I have such an awesome job. I get to work with people like Bentley and Lisa and Bob and you, Shelley, who raise all these dollars for the children at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. The fun, it's really important to Bob and to everyone that's involved in this ride that the funds go to the patients' families. You know, they're going through such a trying time, so so he really gets a lot out of knowing that the money goes to support these people in the community, and it's important. You know, like Lisa and I were talking about, every bit does help, and so I love the work that I do. It's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. I've been on the ride every year and been involved in it myself, and it's been really touching to see families of some of the children will show up and talk about their story, and they get up there. It's really pretty emotional. I've seen us all kind of tear up and just say, you know, if it wasn't for people like you who care about our kids, and people like you guys who put it on, and you in the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital who facilitates all of it, it really is. It takes a tremendous amount of stress and pressure off the families. I wanted to get back to you guys a little bit to tell me why. I know that you know, you're such a big place and people ask for donations all the time, and I know that it must, you know, it's not feasible. So tell me why the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital and the Herb Noble Ride is really at the top of your list. I know you've been supporters all along, and why either one of you, if you want to just comment on that.
Well, we're just proud to do it, and we're very fortunate that we're in a position where we can help people. I mean, it gives us a good feeling to know that we can help and that we are helping different, you know, different organizations, especially the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, because it's just such a great thing that Barbara Bush put together, and it's a wonderful thing. It's great that Bob has carried this on for the years that he has, and it's just neat that we can do it.
And I think the Bushes have been guests at the Saloon a few times, haven't they?
Yes, yeah. And it was very honorable to have, you know, President and Mrs. Bush come to the Saloon and frequent with us a few times.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to talk a little bit about the ride itself. This year it's going to be on September 16th, and the registration starts at Bentley Saloon at 8:30 in the morning. The ride will leave. Bikers can show up. It's a $25 registration fee, and that includes a ride T-shirt similar to this one, which is last year's ride. And the ride is really made possible by all of these sponsors here. They really, you know, they really put a lot of energy and time and money into really helping the ride establish itself and to keep going every year. So they're all listed on the back of the T-shirt here, and riders will get a shirt when they sign in, and the ride will leave at about 10:30. People can mingle, have some breakfast, have coffee in the morning, and then the ride will leave at 10:30 and make a little, it's a country ride towards trains in Lebanon. Is that where it is?
I think it's Lebanon, yeah.
There, yep. And then we'll stop in at the Pilot House in Kennebunk Lower Village, and those are some supporters of the rides too. And then we will make our way back to the Saloon, where there will be some raffles and dancing and music, and usually that's when a family member, or actually children have been there who were direct recipients of the money raised. Sure. So you get to talk and mingle with all of the people there. So that's really the way it goes. It's an all-day event, and I didn't know if there was anything you guys wanted to elaborate on about the whole day. Anything. And it's a very organized ride. It's very safe. It's very you know, everything's good. Do you want to talk a little bit about what goes on during the ride itself?
We also take a bus, and so
Yes,
there's
yes.
people that like to go on the ride, and they're not capable of riding a motorcycle. Bob's mother, I think, is 90-something, or his grandmother's 90-something years old, or, no, his aunt.
It's his
His aunt,
aunt.
yes.
There's 3 aunts.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them that come. Isn't there 3?
Yeah,
They
I
ride
think so.
the bus.
I think
They ride
so.
the bus.
I get pictures of them every year.
They're
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah, and they correct everybody's speech if somebody speaks improperly.
Yeah.
They make sure they correct it. I heard all about that. And but people that want to donate money can. They can just. Bob gets a lot of checks from different companies or just individuals that want to help the Barbara Bush Hospital because they just enjoy being able to help. So, and like we said, everybody said, all that money goes to the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, which is huge.
As you said, it's all in Maine. You know, the funds do stay here in the state, and I know that's really important to a lot of people because it's basically helping our neighbors, right? You have a great story about how, you know, it impacts all of us. You know, our family members, our neighbors, community members, everyone. Either, you know, some children who are at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital come because they have a broken arm. Some might have, you know, a more serious illness or might have to receive treatment, cancer treatment. But, you know, no matter what, it's so important that we have the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital here in our state so that people can access it no matter what they need, what these kids need.
And when people who are directly involved in the ride, when you can see where your money is going directly. And that's what's really important when the families and sometimes the patients themselves get up and speak. You know in your heart, wow, I'm doing something that actually, I can see it. It's not just like writing a check and sending it off somewhere, although checks are welcome. And you can, you know, we appreciate all that, but to really see it and see it in your own hometown, state, area. You know, there are a lot of sick kids out there that really need the help. And Lisa, you were saying that you have a neighbor actually that coincidentally has received treatment there. Did you want
Yes,
to talk a
if
little
I
bit
may,
about that?
yes, one of our neighbors, actually right on our road, not even a mile away, reached out to me within the past few weeks if we could do a fundraiser for her neighbor across the street, a little girl who has leukemia, and she was at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital for 5-6 months. The Boston Hospital too, which she received a bone marrow transplant. And so her neighbor reached out to see if we can do some type of fundraiser at the Saloon because the little girl can't have her friends come in the house because it's a very critical time for her after the first 100 days that she receives the treatment with the germs. And so the lady that reached out to me has a little boy too that spent some time at the Barbara Bush's Children's Hospital a few years ago, and it was around Christmas time, and he got released from the hospital, and he remembered the poor little kids in there saying, why do they have to spend Christmas in a hospital? So he saved up his own money, $25, and he bought Christmas gifts, and he went back and gave them out with his mother. So every year, this will be the 3rd year now, he comes up with an idea, and he always tells his mom, we gotta go to the Barbara Bush's Children's Hospital and see the kids at Christmas time. And last year he gave them, they call them stuffies, stuffed animals, but because of the germs, they can't do stuffies anymore. And he spent, when the little neighbor girl across the street was in the hospital for her bone marrow transplant, he went every week to visit her. Now these are 8 and 9-year-old children. So every week he'd go and visit her with his mom, and he came up with the idea that this year he wants to get slippers, animal slippers, for the kids that are there at Christmas time. So I think it's been approved.
Adorable.
So we're working to see what we can do for these little kids to help them out so they can play outside together since she can't have children in the house. So we have something up our sleeve, and we're not going to let the cat out of the bag yet.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think it just really touches on how we're all in this together, and all young and old, and how we've actually been like a Herb Noble ride and Barbara Bush Children's Hospital community. We've kind of developed a little community here over the past 9 years. Now, I know that, Lisa, you just toured the hospital, and that's where you met Sarah.
Right.
I thought maybe you two could talk a little bit about what you, maybe you could talk about as a person who, not all of us get to really know what's going on behind the scenes at the hospital. And tell me what impacted you, and then maybe you can, have a little conversation with her so the viewers can get an idea of that.
Sure. Just meeting Sarah. That was so special. She opened up another world to me. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the full tour yesterday, and I'll let Sarah talk about that. But I did get to go into the preemie.
Yes, the NICU.
The NICU, with the tiny little babies. Oh my gosh, and the mothers are there, and it's 25 babies are there now. And I was fortunate to meet one of the nurses, Linda, who's been there 30 years.
Yes.
And I talked to her about the little girl on our street with leukemia, and she was giving me some ideas on how we could possibly help her out.
Yeah, those were good ideas.
Yeah.
We have 98,000 patient visits a year.
Wow.
So at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, it's just remarkable. And like we said, anything from, trouble breathing to oncology patients. And so there was a challenge. They were having a challenging day up there on the inpatient unit floor, so we weren't able to tour it. But we did get to go in the East Tower, which is where where our babies are born at Maine Medical Center, which is the labor and delivery floor, and then the mother and baby floor, the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, and then the continuing care nursery. We care for 80% of the babies that are born in our state that are born prematurely end up at Maine Medical Center there on the floor because they need really specialized care. And we're really proud of the fact that we can offer those little ones the care that they need. It's a level 3 NICU, which is the top highest level of care or highest level that you can be that you can receive. So yeah, the level 3 NICU is where we got to go, and Linda gave us a tour. We saw 25 little babies being cared for.
That's a lot. Wow. Now, did these people, are they all babies from Maine, or are these people from across the country? Are they able to fly in for care, or are people sent to you there?
I think
mostly right here.
Mostly Maine, but I guess if there's a baby that's born, if someone's on vacation and ends up having, that will be, we obviously will take anyone that needs the help we're here for anyone that needs the help. So, Linda was talking about how, there are triplets, twins in the NICU right now. There's babies that just are having a little bit of trouble breathing, and so they just get monitored, and then they get to be brought home a few days, after they're in the NICU. But some babies have to be there for months at a time, and it's really challenging for the families, obviously. And so it's funds like from the Herb Noble ride that support those families and really make a big difference for people. Those families really need that help. So it really does make an impact.
And I know some of those families personally, just in our area, in the Kennebunk, Port Arundel area. And actually, I believe a few years ago, this little girl who's, I think, in high school now, the Sayer family, they were at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. They were at Bentley's, and I think they may have been part of the ride too. But she was about 6 and had a brain tumor, but she's doing really good now. And her family came to one of the events at the Saloon too. And I also think a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly, some of the funds that were raised actually helped to pay for a ventilator in the NICU. Some of the funds from the Herb Noble Memorial ride. So it goes to stuff like that, and it also goes directly to the families to, maybe they just need a gas card, they need transportation to take care of their family members at home, or, just to keep the family unit intact, the emotional support too, that's, people have to take time off from work, and to just ease the burden of the families, because it's the whole family's affected, and the child needs his or her family with them when they're going through a time like this. That can be crucial, really, to getting them through it.
We sometimes have families that are at the hospital without having planned to have been there, so they don't pack a bag. So we can use funds like the Herb Noble Ride Fund to provide, you know, toiletries or clothing or, you know, diapers, or sometimes we have patients that need shoes. The nurses will see that, you know, they really could use some fresh shoes for the start of the school year or something, and so it's funds like this that help support that.
Great. Can you tell me a personal story about maybe something little or big, whatever, that money from this ride has something that it has done that really made a difference? Because sometimes it's just the little things really that speak so much. So can you give us an example, a direct example of a family or a child or something that was done to, you know, you don't need to name a name, I don't mean that, but just like how the funds were used and how easily accessible they are for the people who need the funds. So.
Well, the sneakers actually did just happen, and that really impacted me. You know, anyone that has children or just knows children, I mean, that's pretty essential with being a kid. You know, you need sneakers to run and play, and so this patient and the little brother, they didn't have footwear that was really even fitting them anymore, and so the nurses in a very subtle and tactful way were able to pick up nice brand new sneakers for the kids so that they could bring them home, and they were just so excited. So they put them in some new socks and some new shoes, and not just the patient but the little brother as well, and it just probably made their year, you know, and so just things like that, you know, it's small but it really makes a difference, and you know, the patient's going through much, and the family, the stress on these families to have their children in the hospital is pretty significant. So it is amazing that community members, there's just so many giving and caring people in our community, and they want to give back and do their part. And we talked a lot about this yesterday, actually. You know, you think it's, oh, I'm just making a small donation, or I'm just doing this small thing, but it actually really does add up. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars that go every year back to these kids and to these families. It makes a big difference.
The teacher.
The teacher,
there's talk a little bit about that. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
About I was surprised.
Yes.
They have a teacher at the hospital for the kids.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And Sarah can talk more about that, but that led into the story too, with the little girl that lives down the street from us.
Right.
The Barbara Bush's Children's Hospital gave a referral. I don't know the name of the company they referred, but the little girl can't go to school. So she has a robot at school in her place, and she has an iPad. And she went to lunch with the kids yesterday on her iPad, and they get to wave at her. It's like FaceTime.
Yeah.
Right.
But I know Sarah was talking about the teacher there. Oh my gosh, yeah,
She's amazing. She's the hospital-based teacher there on the inpatient unit floor. Her name's Abby, and she's just this wonderful woman who works with our patients. So, you know, it's pretty common that some of these kids that need regular treatments have to be in the hospital on a monthly basis, or they'll be in the hospital for 3 to 6 months. And so Abby works with the teacher at their school to see if there's anything that can be done to keep them caught up with their schoolwork, whether it's just, you know, making sure that the child reads on a regular basis, or works on their math, you know, multiplication tables. But Abby even does science experiments with them.
Oh, nice, hands-on stuff.
Hands-on stuff, anything and everything. And she's really in tune with what the kid's capable of doing. You know, sometimes they're just not feeling up for it because they're obviously in the hospital for a reason. But those days when the kid is ready to learn or to do a project, Abby is there, and she works with all those kids on the floor, and ages 5 to 18. It's incredible.
Wow.
So we're really lucky to have her. We're the only hospital north of Boston that has a hospital-based teacher. It's pretty special.
That's awesome to know. I didn't know that. I think
Yes.
a lot of people didn't know that. So
It's
that's
incredible.
Really good.
Yep.
Bentley, can you tell us a little bit about how working with the Herb Noble Ride and the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, how that has affected you personally, how that makes you feel, you know, knowing you're helping these kids and their families?
I think having Barbara Bush, her name on the hospital, makes people really want to help too, because the president and Barbara Bush are so respected in the whole world, not just in Kennebunk, Port Arundel, and Kennebunk. So I think that, that really has a big effect on people and the children going into that hospital. And
You're pretty well known too. Legendary race car driver, so with the star effect there. So,
but then, like Sarah said, with the shoes, the compassion that the children feel, and that probably helps them heal
yes,
a little bit more quickly because they feel that people really care for them, and that's a lot of psychological things I think help people heal.
I think
And
you're
I think
right.
that's a huge thing too.
I definitely agree. And
That's all through the Herb Noble Run, that they can have those funds available for something like that. So anybody that wants to help out, it's going to help
Yeah.
those children.
Right. I remember what Sarah said, I think it was you or Linda said yesterday, some of the children, once they leave the hospital, they want to come back.
Oh, wow.
Because they get
They have
such
so
good
much
care.
fun.
They have fun. They get
Wow.
all the attention. And
Yep.
that's a
Can we
beautiful
go back
thing.
and see, Jamie, she was awesome and she's so fun to play with. And
Right.
the poor parents are thinking, oh gosh, please don't ever, let's not go back to the hospital. But the kids don't know,
Yeah.
they're so resilient.
Sure sign that something is going on right, for
Yes.
sure. Which kind of brings me to another aspect of all of it, and none of this would be possible without the partnership, our partnership, and all of the volunteers. There are people every year who sell T-shirts, sell raffle tickets, volunteer their time on the ride to do whatever needs to be done. And you guys have the bus. That's another thing I wanted to put out there. If you're not a rider, you're welcome to be a part of this. Bentley has the bus, as he mentioned earlier, and if you're just a non-rider, if you just don't have a bike, if you're physically unable to do it, you can show up and ride along and follow all of the bikers, buy a T-shirt, buy a raffle ticket, just be a part of the whole day with us. So this is open to everyone. It's not just a bikers event. Just as the Saloon is and the campground, it's not just for bikers. It's open and welcome to everyone, all ages, all walks of life, and bikers are good people. So come experience that for yourself here. Another thing, I just wanted to reiterate that it is September 16th this year. The rain date is the 17th, the very next day. So, we really would like to have as many people show up and join us, send a donation if you want, reach out. We have a Facebook page. The graphics will be on this TV show if you want to get in touch with any of us to help in any way or to become a part of all of this. We welcome that. And let me just see here. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that any of you guys would like to talk about?
There's a 50-50 that they do every year at the Herb Noble Run, and lots of times, I'm not going to say most of the people, but lots of the people that win it give a percentage of it back, half of it, or give the whole thing back, and that can be quite sizable. And then there's some auctions that are going on, and there's all kinds of prizes that you can buy, coupons, and win a prize of some sort, just it shows what they are. And these are all things that Bob and his friends go out and get, and it really gets a lot of money for the hospital, for Barbara Bush's hospital.
I know that Bob and the whole team is extremely grateful for all of the volunteers and all of the donations, and it's just grown every year in the past 9 years, and I think Herb would be very proud. I feel him with us a lot, before we take off, and when Steve does a little speech, it's just, you can just feel that he's right there. It's a beautiful thing.
And you did mention Steve Rocha, who coordinates the rides every year.
Couldn't
And
be with
he
us today,
always
but-
mentions Herb,
Yep.
right? He always talks about Herb with being a road. He gave him the safety speech the first time, right? He always mentions Herb, how he learned about being safe. Yeah.
So his legacy lives on in the lives of children and the lives of all of his friends and family members. Does anybody else have anything else that we may have missed today, or do you think we've covered most of it?
I'm sure we'll think of all kinds of things.
After we leave, yeah, right. Well, what I think I'll do now is just do kind of a takeaway. I'll ask you guys to think a little bit and just give me your takeaway of what you would like to, anything to recap or to anything you feel that you just would want people to know. One important thing that you really want people to know about and how we need you to be involved and all of that. So maybe I'll start with you, Sarah.
Yeah, I guess just, the community support is, like I said, why I love this job. You know, there's just, you all are special people that should be, you know, I'm proud to be in this state with you all, and so I thank you for your support. And if anyone wants to, you know, obviously support Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, this is a great example of how, you know, you just do what you can, and you do as something to honor somebody else, and it really, it's kind of taken on, right? It's taken off, as they say. So thank you very much to all of you for your support on behalf of the patients. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Lisa?
Thank you. We're blessed that we're able to do this. You know, we're lucky that we can help children in this way, and we all get to meet each other and help all these little kids out. You know, so we welcome everybody to come to the Saloon that day. They don't have to go on the ride. They don't have to go on the bus. They can just come and be present and give support and buy a raffle. And
Awesome.
We look forward to helping them all out. Thank you for having us.
Oh, of course.
And Bob Noble doesn't like to be on TV because he's shy, but or whatever. I'm the same way. And when I raced Indianapolis, I could not speak to anybody. I mean, I'd get in front of a TV camera, I mean, it was just terrible. But he will be at the Saloon, and he did head this whole thing up. So people that want to join in on the ride or come to make a donation or whatever, they can meet him personally, and he will definitely meet people personally, just as a little bit.
Yeah, he's a people person, an in-person
He is.
person.
Very good at it,
The
too,
mystery
you know.
man. Bob's the mystery man. Come meet Bob.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone. And again, anybody out there, the ride's coming right up, September 16th. You can just show up at 8:30 and register. It's $25. You know, all the money goes to a great cause and great kids, and it's a great time. And when we come back to the Saloon after, there's dancing, and you know, it's like being with family. And I think that the Herb Noble Ride and the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, this partnership has been like a family, a nice family event. We've all become very close over the years, and I hope to see this continue. And I know that Bob does too. So. I guess that will be the end of our show today, and I wanted to thank everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you on September 16th, and have a wonderful week.